creative year ever. And yeah, so give us a little background about where you've been and tell us about what up until most recently.
Yeah, so I started my journey with just my love of travel. I studied hospitality and tourism management when I was in university. That's my professor, Keith Murphy, that
Hmm.
introduced us. It's where I met him. And when I graduated from university over 10 years ago, I realized that what I loved about travel, there was a lack of options in the travel industry and hospitality industry in terms of careers or jobs that really suited what I believed in travel and suited how I wanted to be able to travel in my lifestyle. And I decided to take a very unconventional route in life. I skipped climbing the corporate ladder. I skipped what society expected a lot of college graduates to do. And I packed a backpack. I bought a one-way ticket to Ireland and I set off to go explore the world. I had at that time, at 22 years old, just like anyone at 22, you don't know what you want out of your life yet. So that's exactly what I was set out to go find. I had unanswered questions to questions I didn't really know how to form yet for myself. And I put that out to the world to help me answer those and find the answers, wherever that led me. And that's how I ended up spending on and off for 10 years, traveling to over 84 countries, falling absolutely in love with how travel was making an impact on myself, what I learned travel did for others. And I really like to say I was really lucky when I traveled because I traveled during a very prime time in the travel industry, as well as in things like the internet and social media. I began my journey with a flip phone that didn't even turn on and paper maps. And nowadays we have unlimited amount of resources and travel apps and tools to help us make our journeys a lot easier. So those challenges really helped me shape me as a traveler. And I also got to see what people were wanting in the travel industry, what they liked, what they didn't like, not only hands-on in conversations with other travelers around the thousands of people I met around the world throughout my journey, but also got to see in social media what people talked about, what their perception of travel was. And things like Instagram, how that shaped travel, and Facebook forums, what people talked about travel, people leaving the corporate jobs to travel. So I really became heightened my awareness of the conversations. And that's what ultimately led me to becoming a travel coach. And that was the very tipping point of me starting the Travel Coach Network.
Yeah. So tell us about now. So we're in current times, right? Travel Coach Network. You've established and created a community around your business, right? So tell us more about that. What is that all about?
Yeah, so when I began my travel coaching journey, I never actually saw anyone who was a travel coach. But just like I was saying, how there was a rise of social media and the internet, there was also about 2 years ago, I noticed the rise in the online coaching industry. I saw life coaches and health coaches and every type of coach. And for me, it made total sense. I said, I absolutely love to empower people, inspire people, help people travel more and more effectively. I'm going to become a travel coach. And I kind of started something that didn't really exist yet. And as I was starting my own travel coaching business, which I focused in corporate wellness and business travel, I would have a lot of people reach out to me saying, oh, that's really interesting. What is a travel coach? Or can you explain this? Or don't you mean it's a travel agent? Or what's the difference? So at a very early stage in my business, I realized that what I was creating for myself, there was a possibility that there were tons of other people who were just as passionate about travel who might be interested in it as well. And the difference of travel coaching versus all the other careers and options in the travel industry that exist is that it really is up to the travel coach. It's what we're passionate about. You can figure out what it is, how you want to help people. Who do you want to help? Do you want to work with corporations? Do you want to help individuals? Maybe it's moms who travel. Maybe it's you're focusing on the mindset of travel. Maybe it's about the planning side of travel. it's your business as a coach to figure out what it is that you want to do and make an impact with your love of travel. And I wanted to spread that message to the whole world of these travelers I had met, like myself, throughout the years. And that's when I started the Travel Coach Network, to start spreading what I was learning as a travel coach and a business owner and a new entrepreneur with them. And so that I can inspire and empower and hopefully help and guide them to create their own unique travel coaching business and create a platform for them to learn, to connect with others, to grow. And then eventually I created a platform for them to post their business and people can hire a travel coach. So it all just kind of evolved over time, but it started with me figuring out how I could turn my own passion into my own purpose in life.
Got it. So I know we spoke a couple of years ago. You actually were one of my very first guests on my podcast, The Blog You Want and the Time You Have, right? So channel those days, channel those days.
Yep, it was the very first podcast I'd ever been on.
Yeah. And I'm honored to be the first podcast you're on, because I know you've gone off to do a lot more. But ultimately, I know you sort of started your consulting or coaching business based on the fact that you were creating content through your travels. And I know the way and the platforms and the types of content you created, I assume that was that was over 10 years ago now, essentially, right? When you kind of first started with your traveling endeavors, right? That has changed. But talk about how content, let's talk about how content has kind of evolved and ultimately how it was a way for you to kind of get your authority and feet out there to do it,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know I never called myself a travel blogger, but I did have a travel blog. It was when I started this blog, that's when I had to pay accommodations to let me use their computer and internet by the hour. That's how long ago it was. It was a way for me to share my experiences with my friends and family, to let my mom know I was okay and alive in, wherever I was at. So I never monetized my blog. I was never interested in spending more time on my blog and creating content than I was in experiencing travels. But with that said, my blog was what helped me create the very foundation of my entire travel coaching business. By tracking the analytics on my blog, I was able to see what kind of information people were interested in reading about. So my content evolved over time, and I started sharing that with even more platforms outside of my friends and family. And eventually, one of the very first things I did as a travel coach and for my own business was I turned my most popular blog post into a published book. And that was all stemmed from my blog, being able to figure out what kind of content was making an impact on others and how it was being received, and using what I knew and love about travel to incorporate and make that impact to people in a more accessible way and a very fun way. And that content evolved over time to content on my website, content on my social media channels. And with that evolves over time as well, based on whether it's for my own travel coaching business and the type of information I put out, or if it's to attract and connect with other like-minded travel coaches or aspiring travel coaches as well.
It's kind of interesting. I'm going to go on a tangent, if that's okay, just for a quick second. But I want to tie a few things together that we talked about this weekend. It's interesting because I'm just coming up with this now, so bear with me. Your blog at the time was more like what we would call a journal, right? An online journal that you shared with your friends and family. We talked about journaling to blogging a couple sessions ago with Kelsey Hoff, and Kelsey mentioned that she journals to help kind of listen to her thoughts, and then uses that sort of content to create real, like, legit marketing content, right? But I guess kind of your method too is interesting, because even if you just create, because I always say there's two types of blogging today. There's blogging and there's content marketing. Like, content marketing is more like SEO, like driving marketing messages through your site. Blogging, for many of us for a long time, was like it was really just an online journal, right? There was really not really a marketing purpose to it. It was just a way to put content out into the world.
Right.
Now, that being said, that is not a bad way to go too. If you just want to do a blog right today and just write it as if it's an online journal, that's another way to source ideas for content too. versus doing it personally. So I'm sorry, I'm just putting two and two together right now, and I think that it's a great way to consider that. Look, you built an entire you created an entire industry off of your blog, right? And it was just a journal. So I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, you can't underestimate the power of a blog. I always preach to everyone in my travel coach network, those I work with as clients, to do your research. And what I mean by that is just to be a sponge of information out there. And that's how you're going to be able to find comparisons and ultimately voids. You can create a solution for something, right? But so when I go to my days that I spend doing research for my own travel coaching, so in business travel and corporate wellness, I read a lot of blogs by companies, and it's not content I push out there to the masses, but it is on their websites or it is available out there. And I read and absorb that. And I find what they're talking about, what they're thinking about creating. I specialize in the wellness side of travel. So if I hear or see that they're dabbling in the thoughts of creating something that with an emphasis on well-being for business travelers, even if they're a big travel tech platform, I snatch that information and I go to them and say, hey, I know this is what you're talking about. This is the solution I have. This is what I do. And this is how I can offer. And a lot of it stems from just information that I find on their blogs.
Right. It's just content is king, right? Everyone's searching for stuff. So, I'm curious. I'm going to ask you a few questions here, right? So tell me so you're the founder of the Travel Coaching Network, right?
Mm-hmm. Travel Coach
Tell
Network.
me how you could help me if I'm a client, like for you, like, I want to learn more about traveling, globe trotting, and that kind of stuff. Give me a little rundown of what it would be like to be a client, kind of thing.
Are you a client in my Travel Coach Network? Or are you a client and I am the travel coach?
We're going to do both.
Okay.
Let's start with I'm a client of yours and you're helping me with my traveling situations. Right?
Absolutely. So with my focus in business travel well-being, I realized early on that in the business travel industry, there's a lot of burnout. That was no secret. Leading up to COVID, the burnout epidemic among business travelers was on the rise, and companies were trying to figure out what can they do and offer. And I realized by going to events and talking to a lot of companies that they focus on things like diet, sleep, and exercise. And as a passionate traveler myself, as a travel coach, with the research that I've also done, I realized that there's a lot of healing powers to travel. There's tons and decades of studies that show how travel itself can decrease stress levels, can increase your immune system, how it can build human connection and what that does. It can spark creativity and productivity. There's tons of examples out there. I have it a lot on my website, thetravelcoachnetwork.com, just information I found from credible studies. So I took that plus what I knew and loved about myself with travel and created my own travel wellness approach. And so what I do is I help business travelers figure out what is it that you need to do or acknowledge on this travel experience that you have to be able to be the best you, be the most creative, be the most productive on your business trip. Does that look like how to best manage your time in between your travel, your meetings that you have? Does that mean incorporating leisure into your experience? How can nature be involved? How can you branch out and understand and connect with new cultures or learn new skills? There's a lot that is overlooked when it comes to the power of travel. That it was my mission to help integrate that into the traveler themselves, but focusing on that individual. Do you need to work on the mental side of things for your well-being? Do you need time alone? Do you need to go by bodies of water? Research shows that being by oceans or lakes can help, do X, Y, and Z. So it's all focused on the individual, but yet given that those options and that information out there of how they can make the best experience for themselves on their business travel journey that focus on well-being outside of just diet, sleep, and exercise.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So before we get into the other aspect of your business, let's talk about traveling a little bit. I know we're in the world of COVID right now, so traveling is kind of like either taboo or not recommended or whatever. How has that impacted your business? And is there anything that is COVID related that people should know for right now?
Yeah, I don't talk myself about COVID advice when it comes to travel. I leave that up to the experts. I am here to say for people to travel when you feel comfortable, when it is safe and responsible to travel again. But with that said, at the same time, it doesn't mean because went to a complete halt, doesn't mean that travel disappeared or that it's never coming back. There are people traveling. Companies like Airbnb are doing quite well. There is a lot of potential right now in the travel industry for creativity and innovation.
Mhm.
Uh, and when you said how has it impacted my business, I've actually been busier during COVID than ever for both sides of my business. I was actually invited to join the risk committee for the Global Business Travel Association to incorporate the wellness side because, like I mentioned, pre-COVID, well-being was a buzzword that was talked about in different fields and different industries. And now what COVID did, even as terrible as it has been, for the world and the impact it's made on the travel industry, it has also given time to bring what's really important to the forefront. So focusing on individuals, focusing on things like wellness and redefining what travel means and how people can travel better. So things like sustainability, eco-friendly travel, these are all things that are becoming more popular in the travel industry and talked about for the future of travel. So now is just a time for the creativity levels to come into play so that when people are more comfortable to get back on planes, on boats, whatever it is, that companies are now ready to be able to put content out there and attract consumers in a way that resonates with them themselves. There's no better time than people wanting to get away now. And I'm sure many people have probably felt this at some point during COVID. I need to like escape, whether it's by yourself, outdoors, in nature's. And that's what travel does for people. It heals you. We have a lot of stress on us, a lot of mental toll on us during COVID. So travel is a very powerful tool. It's just more of a figuring out when that time is that people can utilize the power of it.
Excellent, excellent. I do want to mention if everyone has any questions or like to ask a question to Sahara, feel free to hop in the chat, leave your question in the chat, or feel free to hop on. But in the meantime, Sahara, tell us some of the exotic places that you've been. Actually, we haven't really talked about that at all. I know you've been to many places. How about a list of your top 5 that you would recommend, or maybe it's unconventional?
Yeah, that's always a really tough question because
Mhm.
every place around the world is so different and offers something differently. But I always say some of my favorite places I've been. I was in Tel Aviv, Israel in last December and absolutely loved it. Fell in love with Israel itself, did some ventures outside of Tel Aviv. I always am drawn back to Indonesia. There's something about Southeast Asia in general, whether it's I love, I'm a beach girl, I'm an Aquarius, so I'm drawn to the beach, warm weather, but also just the people are so friendly. It's very affordable to eat healthy, fresh fruits and vegetables, very affordable accommodations, more laid back lifestyle. So I was in Bali right before COVID for business. Um, Thailand is a place that I know it seems maybe a little cliche for travelers, but it really is a diverse country to go to. You can find anything you want to do there, whatever's in your comfort zone. So Thailand is a place I've spent quite a bit of time. And I'm trying to think of somewhere outside of Southeast Asia. I was last year, I was in South America and Argentina really surprised me. I traveled all around Argentina for about 2 months and down in the Patagonian region was stunning. I'm a mountains and lake kind of reflection girl, so that was really a great place to spend my Christmas is where I was at.
Excellent, excellent. We had a question. I don't remember what was the name of your book? I can't remember. And it's been a while since I picked it up,
That's
but yeah.
okay. Yeah, my book's on Amazon. It's called Hey You Just Go.
Excellent, excellent. Cool. So
Someone asked something else. They said, have I experienced illness while international traveling? I Sickness from like food or something, I have not. I've always been pretty cautious about what I eat. I do know a lot of travelers who do get things like called deli belly from the types of foods, but my body is not very keen to temperature changes. So I have gotten colds from that. But luckily, places like Southeast Asia, the over-the-counter medicine can be very, very, very affordable. So I just go to the pharmacy.
Cool. Cool. Well, not cool if you get sick, but
Oh
but
yeah,
you can rebound. Yeah.
yeah.
So anybody else have any questions? If not, I want to get into, let's talk about today a little bit. Yeah. Oh, cholera in Egypt. Wow, that's
Yeah,
crazy, Robert. It's
that's a
crazy to
bummer.
hear.
Mhm.
So let's talk about today. You've created a network of travel coaches, right? Which is an astounding feat in itself. Tell us more about that. If I'm interested in becoming a travel coach or I want to do more traveling in that aspect, give us a little rundown on how that works.
Yeah, so I created the world's first and only online certification program that certifies travel coaches around the world. It's accredited through the International Coach Federation, ICF, which is one of the more popular accreditation organizations for certifications of various types. So I own and run that certification program within my travel coach network. And that's essentially what I do. I put everything I know in did for myself into that certification program that so I can help guide and inspire others for whatever I do in my business as a travel coach is how I teach and help those in my travel coach certification program and my network. It's a big mission of mine to connect people together. So when I see my community on support calls or accountability calls or just having ways to connect with each other, that is a really big part of it as well. So that's usually what I just do in my in the travel coach network is the main thing is run the certification program.
Got it. Got it. And how long would someone be in the program, if you don't mind me asking? Is it something that's
No, of course. It's really up to the person. So if you when you go, it's meant for you to go at your own pace. They have lifetime access to the content. It is dripped out over 2 months, so I'm not bombarding them with too much content. So it could take someone 2 months once they get all the content to finish and become certified. There are required monthly module discussions and live trainings to add into their CCE hours, but I have people who have been in there for a year and a half but they're moms or they have another job. So some go through it like that and they're certified. So it really is a journey for you. I'm just here to help and support and guide them along the way.
That's excellent. That's excellent. And it sounds like we've got some people on well, at least we had, I don't know, maybe she checked out, but we had someone who was moving to Southeast Asia just recently. But
Oh, Tina.
Tina, maybe she checked out. But oh, there's Tina.
Tina's,
Hey, Tina. Yeah.
Tina's in my network.
Yeah. Right. So that's excellent. So and thank you for sharing Creative Your Ever to your network. I appreciate it. So hey, I think this is very interesting. I think you have a fantastic program, and I love the fact that you based a lot of it off of content, right? It was all your blog, it turned into courses, it turned into what we would call an informational product, right? Which turned into a certification. And I think that's absolutely amazing, and your creativity was definitely the force that power. And yeah, if you have any other suggestions or tips or ideas on how people can be kind of launch their best year, most creative year ever, let us know. If not, we'll have to check out your website. So yeah.
Yeah, I took a couple notes here, so I'm definitely give a couple points of information to share with you guys. Just the things to think about. One is to figure out where does this passion of yours come from? Like, where does it stem from yourself? Dig back, like talk about journaling. Maybe take a piece of paper or a Word document and write down, be vulnerable with yourself. No one has to see it, but figure out where does this passion stem from and what inspires you to want to help whoever it is that you want to help. Secondly, I really recommend doing research. You might be tunnel focused on one specific niche or area, but put yourself out there online, take a day, do some Googling and research related industries or possible niches that are of interest to you. You don't know where what you love and know most can be incorporated. That also allows you a way to find commonalities. So see what people are talking about a lot, what's being introduced a lot, what are companies doing, whoever it is that you might be interested in, like what's popular? Online coaching? Is it masterminds? Anything. And then when you can see what's common, you can also find where there's either voids or shortages, meaning that you can now create a solution or create something even better than what someone else is doing or created. And also map out what your dream business looks like. If you were to say, my dream business looks like this. I envision myself standing on stages, sharing this type of information. I see myself selling only books. I see myself being a consultant. How do you envision for yourself sharing the information that you feel so passionate about? And that way, that's going to help you establish what kind of revenue streams that you can create for yourself.
Excellent. Good advice. And ultimately, that kind of leads us to another topic in terms of creating a sustainable passion for yourself too, right? Stephen and I are going to talk about that a little bit later again this evening to wrap up the summit. But ultimately, finding a balance between passion and income, right? Sustainability. I usually use the word sustainability, but ultimately, it really sounds like you've found that perfect crossroads for yourself, Sahara, in terms of turning a hobby, if you could, into a business. And I think that it's absolutely amazing and truly an inspiring act that a lot of us, I think, could definitely use as an inspiration for doing it for our own respective fields. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
You're very welcome.
Let's see. It says Christina says, Sahara, I know you still have a lot of reposts of celebs as well as known people on your site. Any advice for doing that?
What do you mean? As for quotes?
Just looks like you have a lot of under wisdom and wonder. You have lots of posts from other people, Oprah, Dolly Parton.
Are you on the right Sahara Rose? There is one. So I get confused with another Sahara Rose who focuses on holistic wellness. I'm travel wellness. So if you go to the travelcoachnetwork.com, that one's my website.
Okay, I might be in the right spot then. Wrong spot. Thank you.
So of course, I was like, I quote like companies, but not Dolly Parton.
Well, I love Dolly Parton. I don't know, but
no, I do too. I just never quoted her.
Steven, you had a comment? Yep.
Yeah,
Question.
What does the travel certification actually mean? It sounds as if it's something that you've created. And if I have it, what can I do with it? And if I don't have it, can I still do it anyway?
Yeah, well, that's a good question, because when it comes to the coaching industry, I mean, it's like anyone who's a health coach or a life coach or a business coach, anyone can call themselves a coach. There are a lot of people out there who call themselves a travel coach. I've seen their Instagram or website maybe. It's a difference between you can call yourself a coach or you can become an accredited coach. So saying that you went through an organization, got the trainings, got the core competencies in place, did the hours you're supposed to do in the work to become certified. So that's the difference between it. So, but essentially anyone can call themselves a travel coach. I define it as for the Travel Coach Network differently than what I've noticed other people might define it as, which is still in the limbo of the travel agent world. But under the Travel Coach Network, we have our own definition of a travel coach, and then this travel certification program that accredits you as an actual international certified travel coach. So it's just the difference between if you were to look for a life coach, would you go for someone who is accredited or would you not?
If I wanted to travel individually, would I talk to somebody like you?
Yeah, it depends on what kind of, every travel coach is different. So you would seek out a travel coach who focuses on what you're interested in. It could be whether it's based around your demographics they focus in or any sort of specialties. Maybe it's adventure travel you're looking for. Maybe it's leisure travel or luxury travel. Every travel coach is different. So that's why I created on my platform a place for travel coaches to post what they do, a profile, because everyone focuses on something very different. So you want to choose a travel coach that focuses on what it is you're interested in.
And then how do you charge for that portion of your service?
You for the travel coach or for the certification program?
Yeah, for the coach.
For the It's up to the travel coach, whether they hold individual pricing. I don't tell travel coaches how to price their business or how to structure their business model. But for me, myself, I don't focus with individuals anymore. I focus on corporate. But so it'd be up to the travel coach what they charge and how they charge it. Maybe it's a group program, maybe it's a course that they give you, maybe it's individual work that they give you. It's up to them.
Cool. Steve, does that answer your?
Well, yeah, it does answer my question. I'm just thinking that, the travel agent industry, I think, has been challenged because people, now go, online, they go to Orbitz or Expedia and they do their own trips, but there still obviously is a need for the travel agent. So here you're not, I don't want to say even, but you're not a travel agent.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, how you're monetizing this portion of the business, because you're actually offering a service that people aren't accustomed to paying for.
Yeah, so I'll just say that the main difference between a travel coach and a travel agent. Travel agents obviously they go to specific type of certifications or trainings to have the database that they need to book trips. So they're the booking person. A travel coach is someone who focuses more on the experience themselves and the individual. So maybe it's someone looking to help overcome from a divorce that they had and they haven't traveled abroad before. They're a single mom and they're afraid of traveling with their child. They want to know from a travel coach, how can I overcome these hurdles that I'm dealing with? And the travel coach themselves could be a single mom who's a travel coach who focuses on that demographic. So it's very specific and it's focused on things like mindset and empowerment and putting the power of the travel and booking process into the hands of the traveler to say, this is how you can find the best deals for yourself. This is how you can create travel experiences for yourself from here on based on the information that they give them. So a traveler can go to a travel agent and they hand over the complete control and information every single time. That's not giving me any knowledge or skills myself to be able to do that next time I want to. It's probably going to cost me a lot more, but as travelers, people like travel coaches or people like myself, we understand that you can travel and it doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg like it usually does with a travel agent. So how can I learn? Someone could say, I want to learn the skills. And this is what I used to get from people. I want to learn how you created a lifestyle for yourself. I want to be able to find trips like that. I want to be able to travel more than just 2 weeks out of the month and get a better experience out of it. I'm afraid of talking and meeting new people by myself. How can I break out of that mold? So it's a very different concept when it comes to travel. And it's something that travel agents started to incorporate a little bit about with the mindset empowerment side, because I don't know if you noticed that the industry transitioned from travel agents to travel advisors to travel designers because they're focusing on the experience portion of that. So getting to really know the individual as a travel coach, that's our whole focus.
You probably would, I haven't used a travel agent in eons, but more or less like a coach is like you're paying. It's like a no fee kind of thing. I mean, you pay let's just say hypothetically you pay hourly for the coach, right? Or you pay for a set fee, whereas an agent gets commissions and stuff like that through
agents do they work on commissions. A travel coach it's your business. However you set up a coaching package, however you set up an experience, it's up to you how you want to structure that. Mm-hmm. For some pay individually for the traveler individually, some hold group programs. Some travel coaches don't work with people individuals like myself. They can use their information I send information to HRs, to travel managers, to all the way up to travel agents, so they can sell their information that way as well. So it really depends on what they focus on. I just specialize myself in the wellness side of things. So that's what I talk about and how I reach my clients.
Cool. Great. That's great information. Very inspiring.
Thanks.
Sahara, thank you so much for being part of Creative Your Ever and sharing your amazing story with us. If no one else has any, we have some great feedback. Geneva said, thank you so much for sharing this great story. I know a couple other people mentioned thanked you in the chat for sharing. I think that Heather says thank you. Basically, look, we've got 2 more sessions today. So I encourage you all to stick around. We are going to do a 5 o'clock session with Lauren Ramsey, who's going to talk about social media marketing. I know this has been a topic that you all been waiting for. Lauren Ramsey is going to talk about how to do social media that doesn't suck, which I agree with. And then we're going to follow up with a session with Stephen and I are going to talk about how to approach your passion practically. And I think we may, Stephen, if that's okay with you, we may kind of sandwich these two sessions right next to each other and not take a break in between the two if there's a break. So it might be like 5:45 or so. We'll start that session if that's okay with everyone listening. And it's fine. I think you said that's fine, right? Yeah. Yeah. So, but most importantly, thank you all for helping me archive this great information. It will all be available in the VIP section afterwards, where we can watch it again, and also invite more people to watch it who decide to upgrade after the event. So, Sahara, I hope you can stick around and help us I hope you can stick around for a couple more episodes or a couple more sessions. But thank you. You're done. And and tell us again your website where people can go.
Yeah, it's thetravelcoachnetwork.com.
Got it. So we'll check out the travelcoachnetwork.com. And then you also, I believe you had a course. Was there a course that we could offer?
Yeah, there's a freebie I sent you. So those who, I run a membership site. So there's I run two versions, the first class and economy membership club. If for those wanting to start out in travel coaching or just absorb some of the information, the economy is free, and it gives a free travel coach training and workbook for you and a nice introduction to joining the Travel Coach Network and to connect with others.
Cool. So those of you who are on the VIP chat, if you're interested in that course, please direct message me and I'll get that to you ASAP. It's in my email somewhere. I have to find it. Thank you, Sahara, for that. And we'll get to you soon. So, all right. So we're going to take our last break of the day, and we'll be back at 5 o'clock. And the Creative Year Ever continues. Thank you all.
Bye. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.